Oh my God, I messed up.
Hey, what's up? Hello. Today's topic is life itself. What makes something living? So you're learning biology, the study of life, but what is life? I want you to take a look at this list of things that includes humans, water, bacteria, oxygen, viruses, coral, paper, and starfish. Half of these things are living, half of them are non-living. Can you guess the living things? I'll give you a moment to think about it. Okay, time's up. I'll tell you. Humans, bacteria, coral, and starfish are all living things. Water, oxygen, viruses, and paper are all non-living things. To be considered living, you need to meet 7-ish requirements. It could be 8 depending on how your textbook splits it up, and sometimes they use different terms, but that's the number is not that important. The one property of life is order, sometimes referred to as organization, because living things have to have some level of organization, which could be how the cells are physically arranged. Order governs how many petals will develop on a flower or how many leaves on a plant. You can see order in human anatomy. Most of us are born with 5 fingers on each of our hands. Without order, we could have fingers forming on our heads or have totally undefined body shapes. Another property of life is growth and development, and it's as simple as that. A seedling that becomes a tiny plant with 3 leaves, that becomes a taller plant with more leaves, and a flower, that's an example of growth and development. A zygote that develops into a fetus, that develops into a baby, then into a child, into a teenager, and into an adult, that is also an example of growth and development. A third property of life is reproduction. If that thing can't produce more of that thing, then it doesn't have this property of life. Baboons mate to make more baboons, and bacterial cells replicate themselves to make more bacterial cells. Humans are also really good at reproducing. Another property is response to the environment, sometimes referred to as sensitivity. If you accidentally put your hand on a hot surface, you're probably going to move your hand because you respond to your environment and you're probably in pain. Plants respond too. If a fly lands on a Venus flytrap, the trap will close in response to its environment. The next property is energy processing. All living things need to take in energy to power their daily activities. Butterflies drink nectar for energy, and I eat broccoli, and a cactus soaks up energy from the sun. All living things take in energy and process it so that it can be used to power their activity. The 6th property of life, and this is in no real order, is regulation. Some textbooks group this in with homeostasis. So regulation refers to, for example, how our blood vessels and other organs work together to regulate blood sugar and blood oxygen levels. Wow, not bloody sugar, blood. Everyone makes mistakes, right? So regulation refers to how our blood vessels and other organisms and other organs work together to regulate blood sugar and blood oxygen levels. Homeostasis refers to how an organism tries to maintain some sort of internal constancy. For example, when the human body temperature drops too low, your body will start to shiver to try and increase the temperature by contracting your muscles. On the other hand, if your temperature is too high, it's too hot, then your body will sweat to try and cool your body down. And the last property of life is evolutionary adaptation. This means that the organism has features that make it suitable to the environment that it lives in. And these features are a result of several organisms in past generations having passed those favorable features genetically. For example, bats are nocturnal, meaning they are awake at night. It's kind of hard to see in the dark. Bats as a species have evolved to use echolocation, or using sound to locate things around them. And echolocation doesn't rely on light, so it's a pretty great alternative to finding things in the dark. So that's more than a handful of properties. And when you collect the first letter of each property together, you get Oaguara. That's not the easiest to remember, so I did rearrange them to spell gore with 3 R's and 2 E's. It's not the best acronym out there, but maybe it'll do you some good. it's really more important that you recognize the meaning and the examples of each property of life than just memorizing a list of seven terms. So now that you know what it takes to be alive, look outside. Pick any living thing, a tree, a bird. How does it meet the 7 properties of life?